Today I want to talk about Robocop, or rather, the lack of Robocop. There's an article here in Bounding Into Comics about a Robocop prequel series that is in development that will not feature Robocop. Let's have a look at the article. So it says here, the Robocop franchise could return to duty on the small screen. The Robocop himself may not be assigned to the beat. First revealed by the film's original screenwriter, Ed Newmere, in an interview with MovieHole.net, the project is in the pipeline at MGM and will not feature Robocop. Seriously. They've added that there because, a Robocop prequel series about Robocop, it makes sense. It's before the film, before Robocop was made. You wouldn't expect it to be in there. But really, Robocop movie was about Robocop. How many people out there really want a Robocop series without Robocop? You take Robocop out and you're left with what? Well, let's read on and we'll find out. The series will follow Dick Jones, the crooked executive from the first film, played by Ronnie Cox, during the early days of Omni Consumer Products and the company's rise to power in Detroit. Fans will probably ask where Murphy or the cyberpunk law enforcement aspect of the franchise fits into the show, and the short answer is they don't. So what you're going to get is a show about Dick Jones in his younger days, working in a company, rising into power to becoming the head of OCP, which we know from the film. Is it going to be interesting? Probably not, to be honest. I could be wrong, but we'll have to wait and see. So it goes on to say, I'm working at MGM on it, says Newmere. It has all the cool stuff about Robocop, except no Robocop. So let's have a look. A film from the 80s, violent action film, which had a satirical take on it, with Robocop in it. If you're taking Robocop out of it, what cool stuff are you left with from the film? That's pretty much it. There's not much left in it. You take Robocop out, the best thing left in the film is Clarence Boddicker. So the article goes on to say, however, despite this major omission, Newmere noted that the first time I heard, I knew it was a cool idea, because I could see lots of things that you could do with it, and found that it's such an interesting character, though the interviews do not make clear whether he is talking about Murphy or Jones. Well, I'd say from the article here and what it said further up, it's talking about Jones, because Murphy's not going to be in it, because Robocop's not going to be in it. Newmere explained that Murphy's story is besides the point. Murphy's stories was the point in the film. It was how he became Robocop and what he did as Robocop. Newmere explained that Murphy's story is besides the point in his new series and discussed how the story would focus on the story of business, tech, law and Silicon Valley run amok. There's the idea of doing things about business and law enforcement in the city of Detroit a minute and a half in the future. It would be a way to do all sorts of stories about business and tech and Silicon Valley, corporations, snake in suits, cops and all that, he revealed. This sounds suspiciously like the Year 1 Gotham PD drama Matt Reeves is developing for HBO Max, itself basically a darker version of Fox's Gotham series, which might be the inspiration for Newmere and MGM, who haven't carried things beyond the conversation phase. That's probably what it is. They've probably seen the reaction fans have given for Gotham and thought, what can we do in a similar idea? And they've chose Robocop, but without Robocop, for whatever reason they've decided to do that. So we've been talking about it, and I think we have an interesting story here, Newmere mused. Newmere summarised the story as being about the evolution of Richard Jones to Dick Jones, the story of OCP, and how the world moves into the future, how corporate world behaves. It's fun to work with a younger version of Dick Jones we meet in Robocop, mused Newmere. He's an actualised corporate predator, but nobody necessarily starts out being the bad guy. Newmere's optimism aside, fans across social media gave mixed reactions to the proposed series, with most fans failing to see the point of Robocop-related media without Robocop. And there really isn't a point. The whole point of Robocop was Robocop. He's the main antagonist, and it's his story we follow. This, let's say for what it is. They've run out of ideas. They've looked back, they've gone, Robocop was good in the 80s. It had a fan base. We'll look at that. We'll be able to work something off it. We'll work on the name and a bit of nostalgia. People will tune in. But I don't think people will. If they've done a Robocop series featuring Robocop, they might have done. but nobody necessarily is going to want a series set in the world of Robocop about Robocop without Robocop. This would be the story of Dick Jones and the story of OCP, which in itself could be interesting, but also could have been done in a completely new franchise, a new show, and it didn't have to have anything to do with Robocop. All they're doing here is relying on Robocop's name and the fans of the 80s film, or the fans of the remake which came out in the 2000s. And just at the bottom of the article here, it says, if New Mutant MGM's concept evolves and moves forward, it could be the only fix of Robocop-based material could see in a while. There is hope that the series can be good, and that the team is just pitching it to audience in a less than appealing fashion. Instead of saying it's a prequel without Robocop, the production could emphasise the series about the beginnings and inner workings of OCP. There's definitely a story to be told within the setting, but it's just not necessary to focus on the fact that Murphy will have nothing to do with it. I mean, and that's right, there is a story there to show how Dick Jones becomes like he is in Robocop, like how we all know him, and how OCP pretty much runs everything in Detroit at that point. But pitching it as Robocop without Robocop has instantly turned a lot of people off. It's like saying he's a Star Trek show with no Starfleet. It's not what fans want. Fans of Robocop want to see Robocop. Then it just finishes off. If they'd taken this route, this new announcement might have gone over a bit better. You never know. So after reading this, I think the show basically comes down to they need to get something out there. They've run out of creative ideas. At this point, I think the well is running well and truly dry in terms of thinking of new IPs, something new and fresh. So they're looking back at the older franchises to see what they can essentially just borrow the name from. I personally don't think this is going to be a great show. I would like to be pleasantly surprised. I do love the 80s Robocop. But what do you guys think? Are you wanting to see this show? Are you excited for it? Let me know. And that's all from me. I'm off to make a fresh cup of tea.